Pitch Black is a 2000 American film directed by David Twohy and stars Vin Diesel, Cole Hauser, Radha Mitchell, and Keith David. The plot follows a crashed transport ship stranded on a strange desert island full of dangerous flying creatures that come out to hunt only when the planet is totally dark. Now, my history with this movie, it's kind of weird. Maybe I'm not the only one, but I probably am. Like I said, it came out in 2000. I was 18 years old at the time, and movies like this were, probably right up my alley. But for some reason, it has always evaded me, and I'm not even sure why. I even saw the sequel, Chronicles of Riddick, in the theater in the early 2000s. I wasn't really a fan of that, though. I guess that's likely why I only just got around to watching this yesterday for the first time. And honestly, I'm really surprised I got to it at all. But it was one of those movies where it's like, eventually I have to watch it. Had I seen this back in 2000, maybe it would have been an old favorite of mine, but who knows? The first thing I noticed right off the bat was the look of the film, because it's pretty stylized, something I kind of didn't expect. The desert planet has a cool look, and I'll just call it oversaturated, because I don't know what else to call it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a technical guy when it comes to film. The characters and dialogue are very of the time, and it's got a bit of a dated feel, and for the most part, I can look past that. The concept, though, is kind of cool, too, because I like how it's based on a transport ship full of different people, from all different walks of life. You've got a bounty hunter transporting a wanted criminal, an antiques dealer, a Muslim holy man type guy, which I did think was kind of strange, but, I found myself mostly, kind of watching the conflict between Cole Hauser, the bounty hunter, and Vin Diesel, Riddick, the infamous wanted criminal. I gotta be honest, though, I never really got the Vin Diesel thing, and I'm right at the age where I easily could have. I get it. He's charming, charismatic, but the characters he seems to almost always play are just ridiculous and not my thing. And in my opinion, Riddick's not too much different. Sure, I would take Riddick over the Triple X character, whoever that was. And I know that there are, Riddick fans out there, and I get it. He's cool, tough, alpha male type dude with lots of charisma, like I said. But what I found really funny was there's a scene where Cole Hauser was talking about how dangerous Riddick is and the atrocities that he's capable of. But all you really get, I thought, was just kind of a bad attitude. And that leads to Riddick's often just super fucking ridiculous dialogue, which just kind of reminded me of, like, pretty much any Paul W.S. Anderson film. Pitch Black, again, clearly a product of its time. I've said it already. I think I'll say it probably again before I'm done here. It's very early 2000s, but it does have a cult following that, like, the Resident Evil movies do not. And I think it's because it does have a sort of Aliens vibe. Maybe not so much the first or even the second film, but I found myself thinking of Alien 3 and maybe even The Resurrection, which makes a ton of sense because it turns out David Twohy had actually worked on an early version of Alien 3, and he agreed that there were similarities between that and his film, Pitch Black. I think my favorite part about Pitch Black, though, is the desert planet that the main characters are on, because it's actually kind of unique with a unique story of its own. This planet has multiple suns, so it's always light. I can't remember if it has 2 or 3 suns, but it's got multiple. It's always light. Every so often, like a solar eclipse happens, causing complete darkness, and that's the only time that the monsters can come out. There's a very cool scene here that I'll never forget. Hands down, my favorite scene in the movie, where one of the characters is surrounded by the monsters, like hundreds of them. And he only has a lighter because, like one of those big light or Zippo lighters. Because remember, as long as there's light, any kind of light around you, they won't attack. But as soon as it's dark, you're completely just dead. So he knows he's fucked. So he takes a shot of something because he's like this. He's always drinking different kinds of booze in the movie. He takes a shot of something, and then before he flicks off his lighter, because he knows he's done for, and they just all rip him apart. It's such a cool scene. I suppose if you haven't seen this at all, you're wondering what these monsters are that I keep talking about. You're wondering if I'm gonna, describe them or whatever. They're like these flying alien things. They're kind of xenomorph looking, but not exactly. They're kind of like xenomorph meets pterodactyl. It's a very unique design, I gotta say, and I can't compare them to anything, which is a good thing. I kind of didn't like the look of them at first, but I grew to like them. And there were practical monsters designed for the movie, but a lot of CGI was used too, and I think maybe a little bit too much because a lot of it doesn't quite hold up. It's not terrible at most points, but some of it really doesn't hold up too well. So I'm giving Pitch Black a solid ass 6 out of 10. Like I said, it is a product of its time. It's a little dated, and that does hold it back a little bit. I wish it were a little bit bloodier, maybe with a little bit of a higher body count, but it does have just enough to, a creativity, I would say, to stand out, from some of the other garbage sci-fi action stuff that was coming out around this time, early 2000s. I can't really recommend the sequels, but if you're a fan of the entire Alien franchise, like I am, I would suggest Pitch Black. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.